Hello. Geraldine. Where have you been?
Well, last Friday, even today, I did a online training with Law 74, and Edwin said to me, "Oh my goodness, you haven't joined us for Friday in like 2 months or something."
Yeah.
And look, Randburg is now, our children's court is on Fridays. So normally I walk out of there at 4 o'clock, and when I get home, I just want to have wine. And last week I said, you know what, I'm going to have wine and mute my camera and have my wine and have my cigarette. And I was talking about health last week, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, I don't want you to see me. But now, after I did last week, I'm always muted, so I just don't go, because I'm like, oh, so afraid of judgment, right? What do we always do? We always judge ourselves.
Yeah,
so,
but you shouldn't worry.
Today I'm going to have my cigarette and have my wine.
You get that. It's Friday, for goodness sake. Hi, Sherry.
Hi. Absolutely. Who would judge about having a wine?
Yeah.
That sounds fabulous.
But Sherry, last week, what I loved what you said we must do more time for us, and I was like, oh, and you said you were walking and stuff, and I'm like, where do I get time for walking? I need to just walk or drink wine.
Don't feel lonely. It's exactly the same for me, Geraldine, honestly. Although I'm doing more steps every day. I'm just forcing myself to do it. So it's good.
I think I walk enough to court and back. So I think that's where my exercise comes from.
Yeah, Geraldine is an attorney, so she has lots of interesting adventures.
Mm. But
Good
you were
morning,
great last
Janyse.
And hi. You are a host. Do you pronounce it Janyse or Janyse?
Janyse.
Oh, just like Janyse, but okay. It's
yeah.
Your surname
is pronounced Hrynkow.
Hrynkow. Wow, how interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
But I see you're going to be our relationship host today.
Yes, I'm going to be a relationship person, because there's so much to learn about relationships. I'm still studying it.
I think we learn every day, right?
We learn every day. And I love your story about the wine, because it's 8 o'clock in the morning here. And I think it's great. I think you should, even if it was 8 o'clock over there, I think you should have had your wine, because I was going to wear my pajamas today. And then I went, I don't know. I don't have the courage to be imperfect today. If I did wear those pajamas, put the rollers in my hair, and I'd do the bit. I'll do that next time.
It was way too early for you, Nay. Way too early for you to do. It's for us. It's almost 5 o'clock. I think the plane has, flown over a few times already.
Yeah, yeah. It's just I always say it's just a miracle that we're all together, even though the time is different, right?
Yeah, I invited my candidate attorney, Noreen. So she just left now, and I said, you have to go home because you have to see if she can join the link. So she brought me this new client that wrote a book on, it's called Exit, on human trafficking. She was actually in it. And now we have to help her to get her copyright back. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to do like a how to keep attraction seminar now. So can we do human trafficking on Monday again? Not today.
Yes, one thing at a time, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good. I love your outfit, Sherry. That's beautiful.
This is, we'll be talking about it today, but this is one of Comey's pieces.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I just love it. It's a silk, and it's just so light. Yeah, so light and airy. Her pieces are amazing.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I once knew a lady who well, she's actually in Vancouver, and she makes scarves, very, very expensive scarves. And she has the silkworms there, and you can see the silkworms doing the job. It's a whole story in itself. It's wonderful.
So does she use mulberry trees to feed them with?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know, but that would be an interesting show with the silkworms. You know, how many of us study silkworms? But we love silk, right?
Absolutely. And she's in Vancouver, Janyse?
She's in Vancouver. I'll see if I can find her name for you.
Yeah,
the work she does is beautiful.
A whole nother show.
Oh, I could give you 20 shows. There's always something to talk about. Always.
Hello, Holly. Welcome.
You're on mute.
Hello. How is everyone?
We're doing good. We're doing good.
We're celebrating happy hour in Africa, South Africa.
Happy hour in Africa.
I better
put morning time. I guess coffee is the choice, the beverage of choice this morning in Vancouver.
And in Alberta.
Who's in Alberta?
Holly.
Oh, you're in Alberta. Hi, Alberta. I was born in Alberta.
Woo! Where?
Where's
in
Alberta?
Edmonton.
Oh,
Yeah, Edmonton.
My kids live in Edmonton.
Yeah, and the sun always shines in Alberta.
Well, it tries.
Where's Alberta?
We're a province in Canada. I'm not sure.
Canada.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
What's the time there? Because I know your time yesterday, and he was traveling from Mexico to Nevada, and he said we're actually 6 hours, but you guys have got a daylight saving or something, so it's 7 hours difference.
Yeah. So one of the provinces doesn't switch, Saskatchewan, but it's 9 here.
Sure.
Good morning, Terry. Welcome. Hi, how are you this morning?
Morning. It's all good.
That's good. We were just discussing beverages of choices. Geraldine is doing wine because it's happy hour there, and some of us are doing coffee with our morning.
There's no gin in my teacup.
You're lying.
Well, I was thinking that was an invitation to put something in my coffee, but I guess not.
Do you need a minute, Holly, to go and do it?
Why not? Some of us in life have learned we need to drink more. Some drink less. Some of us have to drink more, right?
So we're right behind you on that one, Jen.
Well, Sherry, last week you went on about, and we even had that question that said, how much water should we drink? And I was like, and you guys were talking about Albies or whatever you talk about in America. And I was like, okay, how much water is in coffee and how much water is in wine? You know,
yeah. I like the way you think. That's right.
It doesn't work like that, Geraldine. You know that.
Do you see, even Blue is here. Can you see him?
Oh, yes.
Say hello.
Oh, the cat. Oh,
yeah. She wants to participate too. Or
yeah, he does. He really misses clients coming in. So if clients are on Zoom, then he goes and even if he's sleeping, he still knows.
Oh, cute.
Well, guess what? It's 8 o'clock and we're going to jump right in this morning. So hello, everyone. Welcome to Fabulous Friday TV. And today I just want to let you know that we are live on Facebook. So hello to everyone out in social media land. We welcome you along with us today. So we have women from all over the world coming together. Fabulous Friday TV is about celebrating fabulous, living fabulous, being fabulous, and feeling fabulous. I'm Sherry Kalergis in Vancouver with At 45, the magazine for women when life changes. And I'm the co-founder of Fabulous University, a beautiful platform for women to take courses wherever they are in their life.
And I'm Anne Marat. Sorry, I was just checking the systems if they're all ready and going. I'm Anne Marat from Johannesburg, South Africa, and I am the founder of Women Connect, an elite women's membership platform that allows women to connect with other women and upskill themselves, and the co-founder of Fabulous University with Sherry. And it's really great to see all of you here today, and thank you for attending. And I'm looking so forward to the chat that we're going to have today with Janyse.
It's going to be amazing. Thanks, Anne. So Anne and I are just so blessed to have you making time in your busy schedule today. Some people are in happy hour, like in South Africa. Others of us are just greeting the morning with a coffee. And then we've got a lot of women from other places around the world. So thank you so much for joining us. And if you enjoy this show, please share it out and invite your friends to come and join you next time. So as we mentioned, this show is broadcast live. It's on our Facebook and also on our YouTube channel, usually on Mondays. So today I wanted to share with you because I am a model. Can you believe it or not? I shared this a couple of weeks ago that I was modeling for a day with Care Peterson from Comey Clothing. And she has just dropped an amazing exclusive line, 24 pieces for plus size women from X to 5X. And so you can see some of those beautiful clothing pieces today. I'm actually wearing one. And Care, she creates art and style for all sizes of women, but this plus size line is an exclusive one that is one of a kind pieces. So 24 pieces, you won't see them again. You'll want to go look on her website, KOME she free-hand cuts and then sews jackets, ponchos, ruanas, vests, tunics, and tops in an abundance of natural fabrics, silk, wool, cotton, tencel, and linen. And they are a feast for the eyes and a pleasure for the soul. So make sure and check them out today. I'm crazy for her silk pieces. I mean, where can you get silk for, a price point of $250? And so beautiful. So let's get on with our show. Yes.
Before you carry on, should we just show your gorgeous pictures? Come on.
Oh, yeah.
I think we should brag a little bit.
Oh, I'll always brag.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
There we go, and there is Sherry, and I don't know who this lady is.
That is Ruby Roxy. She's an actual accomplished model. I'm not, but she was just an amazing model. So those light, airy pieces, they're so sexy, and you can see some leg in there. They are beautiful pieces.
Yeah. No, absolutely awesome. Well done. Our new model.
Yeah, I can add it to my repertoire of things I've tried. I can say though, it was amazing day because we shot from, I think I got there about 10 in the morning, all the way to 6 o'clock. And you'll notice some of the pictures, I'm actually in my bare feet because my feet gave out. It's a lot of work. So anyway, thanks for that. And please check out her clothing. They're fabulous. So today we have an amazing show. We're talking about romance. And I mean, we all need a little bit of romance in our life, even when we are married, because I mean, we had a show a couple weeks ago where we were talking about online dating, and we had people sharing about their experiences online dating, and we are going to probably touch on that again today. But I think what all women want is that feeling of fulfillment and attraction, and having your heart beat a little bit faster when you have found romance in your life. So, sex, love, it all goes together, but it's the feeling that it creates that I think we all crave. And so the speaker today is very accomplished and can speak to a whole gamut of things. So romance, creating and keeping attraction. We all want healthy relationships with our significant other, or the exploration of romance that brings personal fulfillment. And today to speak on the subject is Janyse Hrynkow. She is a psychotherapist, the creator of AHA Communications, better known as AHA Solutions. And she has over 40 years in the field of human wellness and motivation. She not only is a seasoned psychotherapist, she's a corporate and community speaker, a clinical supervisor for therapists, a counseling psychology educator, and a critical incident responder, a writer, soon to be an author, and she finds time to paint. So as a new thought leader, Janyse loves what she studies and learns, and has been a catalyst for change in many households and corporations. Witnessing mastery has given her a purpose and meaning, and this woman keeps going even at 72. Welcome, Janyse, to the show.
Thank you for having me again. I love being here, and I was so excited that I think I was online at 7:30. So I had to wait for you. So that was exciting. So I got everything ready, and I thought, there's so much I want to tell you. But the most important thing in all these talks I do is, what about romance? We have to romance ourselves first. We have to feel good about ourselves. And I want to tell you why I got started in this. And that was because I loved children, and I wanted children to be raised with self-esteem. And I thought, well, if we want to do a good job with our children, then we need to do a better job with our selection on who we're meeting. Because if we start off good, then maybe it'll be a little bit easier to communicate. Maybe it'll be a little bit easier to love one another and cooperate, because that's what relationships need, cooperation, not competition. So when we talk about romance, I decided to research it, and I ended up doing my thesis on attachment. And that's what people are coming in now. They're coming in and they're saying to me, I'm looking for a new partner. I want to have what I didn't have before. I want to have that romance. But I found out that I have a anxious attachment from childhood. And I always think it's funny, because when people get a little bit of information, sometimes they don't understand the whole concept of attachment. So we not only have to look at child attachment and how your relationships were with your mother, whether it was secure or anxious or avoidant. We actually need to look at adult attachment, because if you have changed and grown in your life and raised your self-esteem, or you've been married a few times or dated a few times, hopefully you've learned about what your needs are, some of your needs weren't met. And when you go to the next relationship, of course, you want to have a better selection. So what is that about, right? What creates romance? Well, first of all, what creates attraction? Why am I attracted to my friend? Why am I attracted to Sherry? Why did we become people we knew, right? It doesn't have to be with a man or a woman. Friends attract each other. There's a certain amount of energy we have with ourselves, and then we're pulled towards someone else. They're very interesting, right? So we want to go there. So what pulls us together? Well, some of the research shows that people attract others who look like they like you, right? We want to be with people who are interesting. And if you're smiling and you look approachable, then some of us want to reach you. Then we looked at, well, what else is about attachment? How about physical attributes? What are the adult influencing variations we have? Do people meet people based on physical appearance? Well, even though that might pull you there, people who are in long-term relationships, it has nothing to do with the physical appearance. It has to do with the emotional feelings. So the other research is, and there's so many books, and believe me, I think I've read them all and done my own research, is often people pair up with people who are opposite to themselves. So you'll see somebody who talks a lot pairs up with somebody who just doesn't talk very much at all. And then, of course, when I see them in therapy, what do you think the people are complaining about? He doesn't talk to me. We don't communicate. How can I get him to share himself with me? Those are the problems that come up all the time. And another one is in the beginning of a relationship, when you're attracted to someone, that's when there's the pull forward, the lust, the interest, the discovery. But often, as we move along in the relationship, whatever you're attracted to in the beginning is also the very same thing you will get divorced for. Only there's a change in perception. And I'll give you an example. When I met my husband, he was very slow, okay? So when he drove me home, when we were dating, he took his time to drive me home. And it took a long time to get there. And I used to think, wow, he's really taking his time. He wants to be with me more. Isn't that wonderful? And then when it was time to divorce, of course, what do you think the issue was? He was slow. Everything he did was slow, and everything I wanted was faster. And that was the issue in the beginning was, wow, this is interesting. He takes his time. He's not super fast like my last relationship was and ambitious. This guy slows down. And in the end, it became an issue because he didn't have the energy and didn't do the kinds of things that I wanted him to do, just like that. So what creates romance? Well, if you can communicate with your partner, that's going to add to your romance, isn't it? Because it's going to help you get your needs met. And I did a little survey with some of my friends in the past week, and I asked them, if you could kick up romance in your relationship, what would you do? And I thought it was so funny. The things I heard were so different than what I had researched and experienced. They said things like, well, I'd make up little notes and I'd put them in their lunch. And I said, well, isn't that what we do with our children, right? And I said, well, what else would you do? She'd say, well, I'd tell them to dress me up for the evening, and then we would go out. And I went, oh my goodness, if I had my partner dress me up, he'd pick everything that I didn't necessarily like. So everybody has a different way of looking at what excites me, what turns me on. And I really do think we do have to ask our partners, whether you're in a same-sex relationship or an opposite-sex relationship, you still have to ask your partner on what excites you. What would you like me to do, not just in the bedroom or in the kitchen on the counter, but what would you like me to do that makes you feel good? And the question from childhood that I always ask everybody is, this is what you need to know. How did you feel loved? How did you feel loved when you were little? Because we need to pull that up in ourselves so that we can express ourselves. Because often we have to tell our partners what it is we want them to do. And I think I've had maybe over, I don't know, many couples in here over the years. And maybe I've asked, 100 men, do you know what your partner wants? Do you know what she needs? And honestly, almost all of them look at me so endearingly and they say, nope, I want her to tell me. And I go, you want her to tell you? Okay, well, let's do that together. And so this is the story of, you know what it's like growing up as a woman. It takes years to become assertive. Some of us are quicker at it than others. But I know when I was growing up, I was very shy. Even to be a public speaker is, a complete 180-degree turnaround. So I had to develop my self-esteem and figure out what I liked about myself, what I don't, and be comfortable with people. Often people come in here and they go, men come in and they say, well, I have a house and I got a dog and I got a car and I got a really good job. And I really need a good woman to put in that house. And I go, well, do you just want a woman, any woman to put in that house? Do you want to be a little bit selective? And they go, well, of course, right? But maybe his selection wasn't as, his expectations weren't as great as maybe mine were. And I said, so are you dating? And he goes, well, no. So I said, well, so that's the first place to begin, because the social task in life, in order for us to complete it, we need to make good friendships, right? And we need to practice learning how to give, learning how to take, learning how to share with ourselves. So when we meet someone, it is really, when we're attracted and we meet somebody, it really is a holy experience, because as you experience them, you are really experiencing yourself. You are really seeing how you're operating no matter what this other person does. And you will either be pulled towards them or you will use the emotion to pull you away. I talked about those compelling emotions and those validating emotions, I think, before, or maybe you haven't heard them yet. Okay, so what is it we do next? So adult attachments are really based on not just finding your opposite, but long-term relationships that both say they are very satisfied with one another. The number one thing they say is, he or she is my friend. And that turns me on itself. My good friend. They don't say sex is number one. They say friendship. We are best friends. We're able to talk about anything. So even when someone comes into the session and they say they have sexual difficulties, we want to spend more time talking about how are you communicating your needs to one another. So when we go online dating, right, we really need to move beyond, oh, you're a good match for me because I have a dog and you have a dog too. Wow, that's terrific. Nothing bothered me more than that. I just thought, oh my God, if that's what it's like online dating, this really ticks me off. I think I want to get into an argument first because I'm tired of we both like baseball, we both have a dog. That doesn't make sense. So there are some online dating services that actually work on, let's say, Myers-Briggs, but Myers-Briggs works on opposites. So if you don't want to meet your opposite, and the research shows that people who stay together a long time have a lot in common. They are more alike than they are opposite, right? Because they know how to meet the needs of each other. So what turns you on is not necessarily what's going to turn me on. It's not going to feed me. So I think it's really important to talk about things like that. Also, sibling influence was another variable I looked at, and birth order. So, two oldests who meet up, right? What issue do you think they'd have a problem with, right? If both of them have been oldest, both of them have had their say in life, have run the show, they're not necessarily compliant individuals, but they're what the youngest would call a little bit bossy, right? You see that they're going to have an issue with each other. They're both going to have to learn how to live in a household with two leaders, and both have power, because that's what the oldest is impressed with, power. And who has power? Well, their parents. They get to stay up late, right? Even from childhood, children are learning about, oh, parents have a lot of power. I want to be like them. So I always ask children the 3 wishes they have. The oldest always say things about power, right? Just like my oldest. I want to be the richest man on earth. I want to be a famous man. I want to be a powerful. You ask a youngest, they don't say things like that. They say things like, I want to have a party, right? So that youngest man you're meeting, he likes to party a lot because he's watched his brothers and sisters interact with his parents. So they have a different route to go. They know what to do and what not to do. Or the oldest one has, let's say, behaved themselves and is the goody two-shoes, they might just misbehave in order to get a little bit more attention. So who do you want to meet? Do you want to meet somebody with a similar birth order to you? And then did you have brothers that you could practice with? Because when we have brothers, we're learning how to fight, we're learning how to cooperate, and we're watching our parents and their relationship. So a lot is built into us when we start looking for that partner, right? And then when we go online, of course, we have to get through the superficial stuff. Often, let's say men who are talking to women will say, well, when can I meet you? Well, this pandemic actually has helped us because now that we have the distance, we can spend time getting to know each other, because the answer to when do I get to meet you is, and I love this answer, is when I know you are who you say you are, right? When I know that you actually work there, when I know something about your personal life, right? Because I need to know more about you when I meet you. And that's important. So this pandemic it's a little bit harder to go out for coffee. So we have to spend time talking. And remember in the old days when you wrote letters to each other? It was beautiful. People wrote cards and letters, and they could share things about themselves more than actually what we do today. I know when I was online and then I would start to meet people. Actually, I started by when we used to write ads in the newspaper. Tells you how old I am, right? And so I put an ad in and I had 100 letters, right? I thought, wow, some men sent me smells in the beautiful smells, perfume smells in the letters. Some wrote music. Some sent beautiful pictures. Some sent pictures of when they were like 5 years old, right? And so it would be hard to find them in a group. And then I picked one and I went to meet him, right? I went to meet him at, I think it was Milestones. And I looked all over for him and I couldn't find him. And I thought, okay, come on, you've got courage. You're going to go meet this guy. He's a stranger and you're going to ask him a bunch of questions. You're going to just have a cup of coffee. Couldn't find him. He said he'd have a rose on the table. I looked, I didn't even see a rose on the table. So then I thought, well, I'll go out the door, went out the door, and this guy followed me. And he said, excuse me, my throat's going. He says, excuse me, I think you're looking for me. And I said, oh. So my first impression, remember, 7 seconds, first impression, it was a no. It was a no, not just physically, but everything about him was a no. And sometimes it doesn't help to be a therapist, honest. It's like, sometimes I just want to say, I don't want to say what I do. I just want to say, you know, an occupation that everybody thinks they know everything about, but don't say nurse because they'll tell you about their bladder operation. So you really have to watch what you say. So it didn't work, right? And yet out of 100, because he wrote that letter in that way, was probably from his heart. But I could tell he had an addiction. And I could tell he had been drinking for years. I saw it in his face. I saw it in his body. He had the courage to meet somebody. So I made sure I had a nice conversation with him and really blessed him, and we went on our way. So how do you meet somebody, right? Now, depending on the last boyfriend or girlfriend you had, excuse me, I'll just take a sip of my coffee. You need to look back at that relationship and say, okay, did I want it to be more romantic than it was? What needs did I have that weren't met? Write down 2 or 3 or 4 of them. Write down, what did you want that you didn't get in that past relationship? And then you have to find a way to get it in the next relationship. Was it you that needed to build your self-esteem, feel a little bit sexier, raise your confidence, come forward more? Then that's really personal growth work that you need to do, right? Did you need to speak up more and say how you wanted to be pleased, and that was difficult? So how could you improve your communication with the next person, right? And then did you ask the person that you're with what makes them feel good so that they can practice saying what their needs are? And that has to go back and forth. It needs to be reciprocal. It can't be one person meeting all the needs of the other. Now, often when people come together, it is true that somebody who, let's say, scores high in control, wants to control many, many things, needs a pleaser. So is it a good match? It can be a good match. It can also create a lot of fighting because the pleaser needs to know, what can I do to please you, right? And the controller needs to be still kind and caring and say, these are the things that I need to control, and this is how you can please me. So good things can happen to make it more romantic, right? And also you can get into trouble too. Now, what happens when 2 youngest meet each other? What do you know? Those of you who have children, those of you who are youngest, what do youngest like to do? Think about it. They don't necessarily like to do housework, right? They don't necessarily like to take full responsibility like their older brothers and sisters had to. It doesn't mean they're not responsible, though. They could be very playful. My youngest used to say, I just want to have a party. I just want to have things to play with. And then he said something good. He said, for years, I used to go out and talk about birth order all the time and the influence on your personality development. And he used to come out and do the talks with me and go in the groups. And then he said, I couldn't think of the third thing for a long time. And then I thought of it. And his grandfather was a youngest. He said, I want service. I love service, right? I love it when Grandpa sits back on the couch and Grandma brings everything to him, right? So beautiful. So what could create romance in that department, right? Well, if you were with that person, you'd want to give him service because you know that he would love to be treated well like that. So maybe you could take turns doing that. What else creates romance, right? We need to be with somebody who does different things than us. Because at the moment that we're meeting someone, it's all about discovery. But later on, you know, sometimes people think they've already completed the discovery, but they haven't. They haven't completed the discovery. So when I have couples come in and they go, how can we recharge our relationship? I say, in order for you to shift it to the next level, you have to know, you have to tell each other more about your views on life, more about what's exciting. There's a beautiful, beautiful little joke in the one of the books that I give my couples, Time for a Better Marriage. Okay, and it shows a man and woman, and he's pointing to a tree with a tree house, and he says to his wife, "It took you 25 years to tell me you wanted to make love in a treehouse," right? So maybe we need to tell each other these funny little things or cute little things or whatever they are a little bit sooner. But in order to do that, we need to feel safe. So from the moment we're starting online, it's all about screening and safety. I think it was Arlene who talked about, I loved your talk, Arlene. It was just beautiful, just beautiful. And it's really true. We need to be safe. And the other person needs to help to make us safe. And how do they do that? They do that by not holding back information, right? So as we meet someone and share and have this reciprocal relationship, right? We're building trust. We're building trust and we're learning that, is it okay for me to say this? And the first time, the very first time that you have a question, you have a red flag, and it says, I need to get more information, and you don't get it, you need to pay attention to that. Because what happens to us is when we are so interested in someone, let's say we go out for dinner with someone, through the conversation, they might have said, well, I'm really not ready for a relationship like now, but I really enjoy meeting you. We don't even hear that. We don't even hear what we need to hear in the first few minutes, in the first time, because we're enthralled. We're either looking, cat, getting in the way here. You know, sometimes we're engulfed in this ideal partner we think is ideal, but we don't know they're ideal yet. We just have this ideal, right? We have this ideal about, oh, maybe they need to look a certain way or act a certain way. They might be like a little bit like our mother, a little bit like our father. But what's going to turn you on? So when you think about what creates romance for you, is it little notes that you put in his lunch? Do you think that'll do it? I don't think it's never done that for any man I've been with, okay? It is about what creates romance for you, what turns you on. For me, I like service too. I like a full massage, right? We talk about being with your partner. Often when partners come in, I say, okay, I'm going to work with you. If you want to work with me, I'll work with you. But I don't want you to have intercourse for the next month. Can you do that? They go, okay, yeah, we'll do that. And we'll work on our communication. Then when they come back in a week, 2 weeks, I go, how are you? And they're sort of giggling, right? They're giggling a little bit. And they haven't had sex for 6 years, 12 years, 2 years. You know, things happen like that. And they go, we did it. I go, you did it. They go, yeah, you know, because you weren't supposed to, right? We like to do things that are risky, but not dangerous. Well, some people like to do things that are dangerous, right? So, of course, it's exciting. When was it exciting for you the last time? What did you do differently instead of the same old thing, right? Now, we find before you have children, you actually do pick a different body type than you do after you have children, right? So if you're looking for a partner before you have children, you know, all those hormones and everything, biologically, they say the woman actually pays attention to smell, believe it or not, if you look at the research. So you have to like the smell of your partner, right? And the body type will be different. And then if you've, you know, and then after you've had children, if you happen to be separated or divorced or you're looking for someone else, you're going to pick a different body type too, because you're not so much interested in producing anymore. You've already produced, right? Unless you want to keep producing, right? There are some women who do, right? Okay, but if you don't, then you're looking for a different body type. Why? Because what the early attachment, when people focus just on childhood attachment, they're forgetting that we grow and we change and we build our self-esteem. And hopefully some of us have learned what turns us on. Some women don't feel sexy until they're 30. Some of them don't have an orgasm for a long time. Many people have confusions about themselves, and they're not clear on who they are or what they want. It takes time to develop. Sexuality takes like over 20 years. So how can I excite myself? Sometimes I have to learn to do that on my own. I have to ask questions. There are many women out there who think that every woman has an intercourse, every woman has an orgasm through intercourse. Well, that isn't true. It simply isn't true. So if men think that, then they're already disappointed in you if you haven't done that. So we have to ask these questions and learn about all of these things and learn about our bodies so that we can feel stronger within ourselves. And so we can ask for what we want. Because really, I do believe we need to take care of our own needs. I really do. I know I've had to learn that. I've had so many people say to me in therapy, friends too, he or she is not making me happy. And I go, oh, for crying out loud. So you expect someone else to make you happy, and that's going to work for you? It's not. You're going to be happy on Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday and Thursday is not so happy, right? That's what my life is like. Happiness, as I said to Sherry, I said this to you before, happiness isn't like a little pebble that rolls off the counter and then you go looking for it and then you find it and you have it forevermore. Other people create joy around you. You can laugh with them and have fun with them and be interested in them, but you are the one who sees life as beautiful or not. You are the one subjectively who decides who you like and who you don't. You are the one who decides how you're going to define yourself, what's going to make you feel sexy or powerful or good or comfortable, right? You are the one who has to learn how to have self-compassion for yourself, who decides how to love. Because I think what I've learned is love isn't just a feeling. Love really is behavior. Love is showing love, doing love. And everybody does that differently. Some people buy presents to show you that they love you. Some people spend time with you, right? Everybody does it in a very different way. So what turns you on as a woman? I'm sure everybody here would say something differently, but it would all be beautiful because you've learned. So in those years when we are with the partner and, you know, we've sort of moved beyond the sort of activity of the first 2 years, right? There are sort of stages of development in relationships. Are you still in the power struggle stage where you're competing with one another or trying to change one another? Or have you moved a little bit closer to acceptance, to really you are that way. You are the person that I am with, and I love you because you're a good person. You're great with our children. I know you like to stay home a lot, and I don't like that because I want you to go out with me, and I want you to meet people, and I want you to be beside me. So how can we work that through? So that, yeah, it's true, you like to stay home and read your book, but could we have a balance of that? You having time for yourself, me having time for myself, time together, time with the children. Most people, when they pair up and have children, instead of feeding the foundation of their relationship, they spend time with their children, right? So if you ask them, what do you do during the week? How do you feed your adult relationship? They say, well, we have family time on Saturday and Sunday. And then I say, okay, you have 5 more evenings. What do you do? Well, one night we watch TV, another night we do this. And I go, so do you ever spend a night out by yourself? Oh, I'm not used to doing that. I might get into trouble. And if I let my wife do that, oh, she could get into trouble. And then if she grew and she changed and she learned, and she might meet another guy and then she might leave me, right? Because that fear is there. But what if you two decided to create balance in your life and decide to just create balance? Fuel yourself when you're not with your children. You'll always find time to be with them. Oh, because they're pretty demanding, right? It was true. When that doctor handed me my first son, he said, here is your little parasite. And I went, oh, what a horrible thing to say to me. Little did I know that was true. He took everything from me in the first year. I was wiped out, right? And I had to learn high self-care. And do you learn high self-care? And that means high maintenance women, right? You want to be proud. You're a high maintenance woman. Emotionally, right? You take care of your emotions. Physically, right? In every way possible. So the bottom line about meeting someone and creating romance is really, we are trained to drive a taxi. We are trained to do many jobs, but you're not trained to find a selective partner. We don't have any training to do that. We just either want to find somebody like our father if we liked him. If we didn't like him, we don't want to find anybody like him. So we need to learn, what is it about your partner that you would like to have? What kind of lifestyle would you like to have? What kind of person would you like to be with? How could both of you feed the relationship? Because during the process of being together, it requires us to excite each other, to continually discover each other. So people who've been married a long time and their kids, or not necessarily married, living together, I call that pair bonding, right? People who've been together for a long time and their kids have left home, in order for you to recharge that relationship, it requires discovery. It requires, what do I want to find out about you that I don't know? Right? What do I like about you rather than what I don't like about you? What is great about you? And I need to share that with you. And maybe you need to do something exciting, right? Some people who are balancing their relationships are doing things like, yes, we go on holidays with the children and we go on holidays with ourselves. But do you ever go on holidays separately? Like the one thing I really love is women going to Hawaii for 2 weeks on their own. Why not? You refresh yourself, you recharge yourself, come back with the tan, you feel good. Doesn't have to be Hawaii. And you've met people because when you're alone, you do meet people. When you travel with someone, you're less likely to meet people. So what kind of an adventure would you like to have with the new partner that you want to meet? And then what is adventure to you? What does that look like? Because when we meet someone and we get attracted, we actually don't even, let's say you want to stay with them. We usually come from different worlds. We don't say things like, by the way, how do you want to raise the children? Do you want to raise them authoritatively, democratically, or laissez-faire? We don't say that. So sometimes you meet someone and they come from a family that was very restricted. That person wasn't allowed to have their needs met, share their feelings. And so when they're in a relationship with you, they're going to have difficulty. They're going to have to learn to do that. Now, is your partner willing to learn about those things? Now, you know, Sherry, I could talk about this forever, so you have to give me a timeout, right?
Oh, Janice, honestly, the things you've been sharing are just amazing. I only wish, 40 years ago I was on the receiving end of everything that you're sharing.
Yeah. And we all do, right? But that's how we learn. We weren't meant to have it perfectly at the beginning. Nobody told us this before. They didn't do research in adult attachment. They did it in child attachment, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the same way for us when we're 40 or 50. We have to take into account that we have learned a lot. I have become the person I am because I've worked hard. My sister phoned a little while ago and she said, oh, you're lucky. She said, I haven't been able to get a job. You got a master's, you're lucky. Well, that's not true. I worked really hard to get a master's. I raised 2 children on my own and I put in every piece of work. So no, I don't believe in luck. I believe that you work and you build your self-esteem. So if someone told you that you were this way your whole life, you were shy or you were this way your whole life and you don't want to be that way, we have to take into account temperament. You don't turn into a super extroverted person if you're, gentle and your temperament is sort of quiet, but you sure will raise your esteem to feel good about yourself and confident. And if we are to meet someone, we're really in a selling stage, aren't we? So when I did I did many workshops for 7 years based on my research. If I'm so wonderful, how come I'm still single, right? Because people ask that question. Are you ready for a relationship? And what tells you that you're ready for a relationship? What actually tells you you are ready to pair up with someone? Maybe it's time, right? Music.
Sorry about
Good.
I think
I'm so sorry about that.
Well,
Carry on, Sherry.
Well, one of the biggest takeaways, Janice, was the part about being a high maintenance woman. I think as we age, we all need to come into that and be a high maintenance woman. But there is so much. You make it sound so so logical, and yet as a little girl, aren't we all taught, or don't we have that idea that, it's going to be where someone's going to come and save us on a big white horse and take us off into this fairyland? And yet, the way you describe romance and relationships is actually much more logical, and I think we need to pay attention to that. So there was just so much value in that. Thank you so much for sharing, Janyse.
Yeah, I could have carried on listening to you, Janyse, for forever, and that's why we just allowed you to go with the flow, because you were absolutely amazing. And I think a lot of things us women really had to hear again, because it's one thing that I've learned as well. And if there's some time, Sherry, I like to share a romantic story that that is exactly what Janyse has been talking about. It's about telling your partner, your guy, exactly what it is that you want, that you need, and having that communication. So do we still have time?
We've got time. Go for it.
Okay, great. So I was seeing this guy from Palm Beach, actually, in USA, and we had spent some time together in Cape Town. Now, if you know South Africa, you'll know that Cape Town is a very romantic city. It can be. It's got everything: mountain, sea, vineyards, everything. So I'm not sure what we were thinking about with this long distance relationship, but anyways, we had planned. So we saw each other in December, and we planned to have, to meet up again on FaceTime, of course, in February for Valentine's. And so we had arranged all of this. But 3 days before Valentine's, early morning, I received a courier parcel, and it was an envelope. And I wasn't expecting anything. So, I had no idea what it was. So I opened up the envelope, and it was a plane ticket to USA. And it had a
Wow.
note. It had a note saying, okay, come meet me. I'm the guy standing where the roses are red and the violets are blue, dressed to kill and waiting for you. I was like, well, the ticket was to Fort Lauderdale, so it could only be, from my guy. But he lived in Palm Beach, so I thought, well, what if it isn't him? There's no indication, so I wasn't sure. So I thought, you know what? I'm all about risk. I'm going. So I decided, that's it. I'm going. So when I arrived, I found this guy. He was holding roses, and he was dressed to kill in a tuxedo. But it wasn't my guy. So
Oh no!
I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't know this guy. So anyway, I go up to the guy, and so he gives me the flowers, and I thought, shit, Anne, what have you let yourself in for, Anyway, I was like so nervous, but he was looking pretty cool. I was thinking, well, this is a way to get to know someone. And then he gave me another clue, and he gave me a piece of paper, and it said, you made it at last. Through the main doors you will pass. It's not too far. Look for me. I'm in a silver car. The car is in Bay 1, and it's long. Listen carefully. I'll be playing our song.
Oh wow!
And when I got to the parking, he was there. He collected me in a silver limo, and we drove to Miami. He picked up his car, and then we drove to Key West for the weekend. Now that's romancing with an H.
And I take it, Anne, you didn't keep him.
He was too far away. He was gorgeous, but like he was too far away. I don't know. Otherwise, I would have had to become an American citizen. My green card,
Oh, that's an amazing story. Well, hey, can anyone else in our audience top that one?
Yeah, who's got a story that's better than that? Come on.
Well,
Tell us your stories.
Say again?
Is there anyone sharing their stories? You'll have to take yourself off mute. We've got probably time for one. Okay, I think nobody could top that one, and that's what I believe. Oh, Arlene, are you?
No.
I hear you.
I don't think I can tell the story since it'll be on YouTube.
Oh.
Yeah. No, this one I'm going to say, but I have one similar to Anne's where it involved an airline, a flight to meet, and resulted in a flight to escape. So yeah, I had one.
I'm sure there's a lot of danger stories too that have happened out there where we thought it was a great thing and then we ended up knowing it was not the
Right.
Oh, yes.
Well, it's just an amazing show. The information you shared with us, Janyse, it's been so informative. And like I said, we all look at romance differently, but definitely all those components that you said, we need to be paying attention to it. Even, if we're looking for a new romance or in the relationship we already have.
Mm-hmm.
And, what you talked about, the two older people, that's exactly my situation. And I just never seen it before. We're both wanting the power of being the older child, the oldest child. And now I see it so clearly. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. It's also so important when we're going online to be careful because there are so many people. I love this. Like, I would love to get a ticket. Somebody sent me to Paris and meet somebody. Wow, what a great idea. But at the same time, and I've had the I don't know if it's opportunity, but I have heard too many stories in therapy, right? And where there's a lot of people asking women for money. And I've had those women with me who've gladly given money. Sorry, my phone is going. Clients, right? So I'm very familiar with men asking for too much money. And women we all want to be loved. We want to be with somebody. But I would say don't give anybody any money. I even am surprised that I have to say that to women. I just want them to know you can meet somebody, you can find somebody. Of course you can fall in love again. I really do believe love it's in the brain, it's in the behavior, it's in the willingness to want to share. So, but it's very important. There are players out there. Believe me, I met one. That's another story.
You're going to have to come on and tell us again sometime.
I will. He's quite the character.
And that's so true. Actually, we have some articles in the magazine at 45.com this week. It's all about relationships and romance and love. And there are some stories in there too about that very thing. How do you get into online dating and some of the things to be aware of. So true, Janyse. So we have a giveaway today, a prize. It's from Beauty Culture Queen, and it's a shampoo and conditioner, citrus moisturizing, and it's by a Red Seal hairstylist instructor, Cynthia Scabar. She had a beautiful article in the magazine about going gray a couple weeks ago, and she has created this line of beauty products here in Vancouver. So let's do a quick thing in the chat and ask a question. What was your one best date that you've ever had? And you can't answer because I don't think that there's a better one. What was the best date that you've ever had or that you remember? So just tap it in the chat while I tell you what we're going to talk about next week. So next week, we are talking about family dynamics. How do we overcome issues within our family dynamics? It could be that you are worrying about your children. It could be that you're divorced and there's additional family members and different families to consider. It could be that you find out your child is a transsexual and you're dealing with the emotions of that. Or it could be that you're worrying about your children's relationships or success, your adult children. So how do you approach the birds and bees story with your children or your grandchildren? So there is so much to talk about, and we are going to have women sharing their stories with us. So you'll want to check that out. Now, did anybody tap into the chat? Oh, somebody's saying they're not sure what the best date was. So I am going to just pick somebody from the audience. Geraldine, I'm going to be sending this to you. So congratulations. You're going to have beautifuler hair with that citrus smell. Perfect for South Africa. So everyone, we will see you next week. Make sure and share the show out. Invite your friends to come next week with you to share a glass of wine, like Geraldine, or a cup of coffee. Whatever your time zone is, we're looking forward to it. So remember, you are fabulous. Be fabulous. Bye, everyone.